The globalists know this. And it makes me upset. Reverend Childress, I'm ranting. Keep making your points where you were going with this clash, where they're going to make Christians pay for abortions, violating the First Amendment. I mean, it's just never going to end. Go ahead.
This is the most imposing and egregious legislation ever passed in this nation's history. And it was Albert Einstein who said, never surrender conscience, even if the state demands it. Well, he grew up in Germany. He knew what he was talking about. The state is demanding your conscience right now, America. The state is saying, we are your conscience, and we make your decisions. There's no such thing. We determine right and wrong. This is a serious time in this country, and we need to wake up. Now, you mentioned the reporter from MSNBC. That made the comment about the Romney child. You have to understand how this is all going down and what their means of seduction is. They have to lay claim to the civil rights movement. They have to say they're the benevolent ones. They're the ones that are caring for the African American, and they use it as a means to embarrass whites and to control white America by then calling them racist if you don't agree with them. So here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. It was proven this past week. Phil Robinson, God bless him, Duck Dynasty, stood up for his conviction, stood up and said homosexuality is basically wrong. The same-sex marriage is wrong. It was a GQ magazine interview. Mainstream media said, here's our chance to exert our power. We're going to get them to back down. Here's Jesse Jackson. You got to meet with me in 72 hours, or we're going to, insinuate we're going to boycott you. Thank God A&E told him to go take a hike. But yet also, thank God, money does speak. The family stuck together, so he's right back where he's supposed to be. Why am I even mentioning this? In the same week, I repeat, the same week, Louis Farrakhan, the main potentate, the main leader for the Muslim movement in this country, went to the pulpit in Chicago and said, homosexuals should be beheaded. Why wasn't there any media about that? It's because they didn't want to bring attention to a prominent black male speaking against same-sex marriage that they had no answer to, because this is not the scenario they're trying to project.
Especially they only want to demonize Christians, too.
Right. And so here it is. Right, exactly. Anything to do with Christ, Christian, they will attack, they will abuse, they will...
I want to ask you why that is, Reverend, on the other side, then get into some of the history of black genocide that you're an expert on. We'll be right back with our guests. And this stuff really shakes me up, folks, because it's so bizarro world where you're racist if you don't want to kill black babies. And then black people, liberal black people, get in your face like they want to get in a fight with you if you don't want to kill black people. I'm not kidding. I mean, it's crazy. Faith-based initiative, it totally taken over. World Council of Churches, ecumenical, all of it. And now they've got it down to the point where they're going to make Catholic churches, Protestant churches, you name it, pay for abortion coverage. And they've got a tax in Travis County, only county in Texas where taxpayers pay an abortion fee. So that's the type of stuff that's going on, and it's about forcing you to do what they want. Look at Italy. Just said a 60-year-old man can grab an 11-year-old out of the back of a yard and rape them, and the social workers say it's love. That's the actual AFP headline. They can teach 5-year-olds how to have bestiality, you name it, in public schools. And again, it's called being politically correct. No, it's called evil taking over. And it's called assaulting everything that's good. And at the bottom of the rabbit hole, I've learned, is really evil people. And I'm not here judging people that have good hearts and don't consciously try to go out and do bad stuff. But these globalists get off on the bad. And they want to pull down all that's good. And there's a war on Christianity. So, Reverend Childress, talk about that and why they're persecuting the Christians and where you think this is going. And why do you think they're accelerating their program with the same woman that made fun of Mitt Romney's grandchild being black in a white family and said, there's nothing that, these people are all different, and is this racist or whatever, dividing people. And it's the same one that says the state controls your kids. I mean, they're really out in the open pushing the whole agenda.
You know, unfortunately, and it's a deep unfortunately, that it's still, you know, politics is perception. And we still, America still feels that the Democratic Party were the facilitators of civil rights. And so these things that they're doing is actually to help people and to be upward and mobile. And they could be nothing further than the truth. And you mentioned this case in England. I didn't hear of it before, and I'm thank God I am hearing, because I just had the discussion that the clergy do not realize that pedophilia is next. They're gaining this ground through the judicial tyranny on same-sex marriage. Pretty soon, everything, if you can change the definition of marriage, you can change it. And of course, you did it with the sanctity of life, the definition of what life is. You can now indeed communicate that what that man did to that 11-year-old girl is love. And our society, Christian, if you're a Christian, the line is drawn now. If we fold on this, we're done. We are done. And so I didn't ever want it to come to this. I never thought I'd live in America that there would be a day of time like this. But it has come, and there must be a clear message sent to this administration. We will not comply. It's plain and simple. We will not comply. And whatever that means, we have to then just, you know, take the hit. We are Americans. This is un-American. It's unconstitutional. I don't know what is in Congress these days, but this certainly now, we, the people, must galvanize. We, the people. It has to be just like Duck Dynasty. If Pop don't go on, we all don't go on. That's the way it has to be right now. And so they have gained this mindset that I believe only good people. You mentioned what's at the bottom of the barrel. Once again, Edmund Burke. All evil has to do is the triumph is for good people to say nothing and be silent. All the good people now, we have to take it up another level, another notch. We have to be vocal. The line is drawn. Proceed no further. I believe Notre Dame today has to comply, according to the judge, to Obamacare. They have to provide these contraceptives. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Just don't do it. You can't do it at this point.
Well, look at how they're openly trying to tell churches what they can and can't do. That's totally the Soviet Union. I mean, there's no doubt that this is illegal.
It's socialism, it's communism, whatever you want to call it. It's a takeover. I said from the beginning, and thank God for people like Ben Carson who are still echoing, this was never about health care. Never about health care. It was about control from day one. It's about control. It's about intrusion. It's about being able to sort out who our enemies are of the present administration. I mean, this is undoubtedly we're at the threshold here, and there's only one people, those good people you talked about, those good Americans. We cannot allow this. You just can't comply. We must now turn this around in such fashion. Peaceably, I believe, is the way to do it. I am a student of Dr. King, but there's no doubt you cannot comply to this. Your rights are being taken away. Your freedoms are being taken away. And worst of all, conscience. You cannot allow government to dictate to you your conscience. And whether they like it or not, this is a Judeo-Christian country, Judeo-Christian, built on those Christian principles. That is under attack. That is being stripped. That is what really is at the core of all of this. But that's what the mindset of which birthed this country. Flawed, yes, but always remember, those flaws were dealt with through the Constitution and through the spirit of the Constitution.
That's right. That's right. The Bill of Rights was awesome. Sure, it wasn't realized. It still hasn't been fully realized. But we know what's coming in is classical tyranny, not classical liberty. But I mean, it is a spirit of the world, though. It really does come down to this, that they're after real Christians. They're after homeschoolers. They're openly saying they're going to outlaw that in Ohio and places. I mean, they're coming. We've got to get on the offense now because they're not going to back down.
Offense, offense, offense. We waited too long as it is. It shouldn't have got to this point. And that's I'm doing a march in October. I will be at rallies. I'll be at the Walk for Life San Francisco. I'm going to tell you right now, that is going to be a highly charged political speech I give. And there's no doubt, I know they listen to my phone. I'm sure they know my website. The Congressional Black Caucus even mentioned me by name. I was very proud of that. But the fact of the matter is, if we do not stand up now, the America as we know it will be long gone. And I would not want to believe, as some people who would say, this law cannot be repealed. Any law can be repealed.
That's all psych warfare when the Republican leadership won't get rid of it, and it can't, and it's a giant social takeover, social engineering, death panels. The big banks are behind it because they want all the extra money. I mean, this is the end of this country. And people are saying, oh, we can't repeal it when it's completely unpopular across the board. It's all mind games. We have crooks in Washington. They have a 6% approval rating in Congress. They need to be arrested. This is a criminal conspiracy. And if they can kill 53 million babies, of course they can do secret testing on people. And of course they can radiate foster children and shoot people up with syphilis. And of course they can teach pedophilia in schools, because we've let the crazy people that crave the power take over every level of society.
You know, everybody my age, that you may feel your time, to retire or to lay back. No, we know the way. We know what the heart and the vision of the great visionaries of this country had for this country. And you're right. I do a piece. We hold these truths to be self-evident. The nation never really held that truth. But one day, I believe Dr. King said we would hold that truth. I believe right now, this is a defining hour where truly, I don't want to use the term take our country back or that, but basically getting back to the heart of the Constitution, to the heart of the Declaration of Independence. In it is the most powerful political document ever conceived. We have to get back there, demand there. It is still we the people. It's not perfect, but what is coming down the pike now is criminal. It is not freedom. It certainly isn't the vision of the Founding Fathers. And we have to be more vocal. We have to go to PTA boards. We have to go to our local town meetings and council meetings. We certainly have to go to the legislature. We have to use the intimidation of we the people. There's more of us than them. Case closed. We have to use that. And all of us have to step up. We're losing. I will not turn willfully to my grandchildren a nation of this caliber. It would be criminal upon me not to do everything.
Sure. Well, I mean, Reverend, also look how historically, once things get to this point, things collapse. It's not just going to keep rotting for a long time now. All of the liberty and all the blessings are leaving. The curses are coming. We're being overrun. All our basic freedoms are going away. The prosperity's going away. I mean, we know the wages of this collectivist New World Order are death. We know the fruits of this system are not good.
And people like yourself unquestionably have to keep sounding that message. We can't assume people recognize that this is it. 2014, probably the most important year of our nation's history due to the climate and where we're at right now. It has never been this bad. And if there isn't a turnaround in 2014, I don't see us recovering, because it would mean that we capitulated and allowed this to go on without a significant upheaval, and certainly letting our voices be heard in November. This is extremely pivotal year. Anyone who believes in righteousness and the goodness of the country, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, I mean, anyone who holds those things dear, you have to ask, what level do I take this to now? And whatever we've been doing is not good enough. I'm talking about myself too. Whatever I've done, obviously, is not good enough. It's got to go to another level. This is war. And if indeed we are to survive, it's going to take those good people you mentioned earlier to know that good will triumph if good speaks up. If good is willing to sacrifice and go to the front line, good will prevail. God is still on the throne, but he's waiting for the good people to step forward.
What's going to happen if we don't turn the country around?
I don't even want to think about that. I'm going to be honest with you. I never thought, as I stated earlier, that I would never live in a country where there is no, I mean, how can you have an administration that just totally ignores the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence with impunity? I mean, who is challenging this onslaught against the rights of its citizens? And so the citizens at this point have to rise up. I can look at throughout history and see where this has happened in other countries. Once again, never thinking it could happen here. But I better be taking better notes on what I used to see in other nations, because it is here. And if we do not rise up, and it's not going to be whether you're white or black, it's going to be whether you believe in righteousness. Do you believe that marriage is between one man, one woman? Do you believe that that is a baby, the sanctity of life? Those are the things that are going to galvanize. Do you believe you have the right to basically to believe as you choose to believe and to worship as you choose to worship? Do you have those rights? And for what I know of the history, that Christianity ought to trump all those. Why should I be in a nation that was founded by those principles and watch them dismantle those principles and every emblem or sign of those principles without saying something? This is absurd.
And then have the public schools, for those that don't know, all over the country teach very small children, kindergarten, first, second, third grade, stuff that I didn't even know about until I was 20 years old. And that's in this corrupt, decadent world. And teaching kids they could be a boy, girl, or both, and you can have your own bathroom. I mean, that is pedophilia. That is setting the precedent that the state is going to do what they want with your kids, and they've said that. Why do you think they're moving so fast right now? Because I do see a backlash. Do you think they're moving fast because they see us gaining ground, or why do you think they're coming out of the sicko closet with the pedophilia and the state owns your kids and we're going to take your 11-year-old to have an abortion even if you don't want it? I mean, why are they doing this, Reverend?
It's shockingly so. I have to believe it's evil's deadline. That I can't see humans being that galvanized and that strategic. It's almost like it is pure evil, as if it knows something that we don't, and that we must get this nation to succumb. If this nation succumbs, they basically have the world. If the Christians in America fold, they will fold. They in their mindset, it will fold globally. So we have to understand we are at that point. We're at the crossroads. Once again, you're mentioning so many fronts. The schools. Most of your listeners, I don't believe, know that they are already conditioning your children for pedophilia. There's going to be a lack of identity crisis. In the African-American community, can you imagine how painful and how hurtful that's going to be when there's already 70% of the homes do not have the very element that God started with first, man in the house. And you think they're not going to have a problem with identity? Do you think they're not going to have a problem with their sexuality? Absolutely. And the public school system feels this is the America that we are creating now. It's too demonic. There's no way in the world this could be a person. This is a group of people whom we probably don't ever see, no doubt. And I honestly believe the rollout was a message from God to us. This is what you're agreeing to. I believe that the NSA and the IRS and all this being exposed, thank God for Snowden, that it's being exposed, that is saying we are coming into a police state where we will not have any say-so, and certainly they're not going to want to hear about our religion. Remember, religion is the opiate of the people. This is the man's face who has chosen to bring this new world.
Well said. Stay there, Reverend. We're going to come right back. But that's for the federal workers. We called them yesterday. The video's up on Infowars.com. And they hung up when we brought up Fukushima. It's very incriminating, very scary. Here's some of the other headlines. Iran says Saudi intelligence ordered embassy bombing in Lebanon. Yeah, they also ordered the bombing of the Russians. Scientists look for evidence of time travelers on the internet. That's not our kind of story usually, but they're actually doing it. Crazed hypocrite Congressman King calls Snowden terrorist appeaser when our own government runs al-Qaeda. Labels New York Times an accomplice. Did North Korea Kim Jong-un feed his uncle to the starving dogs? That's the craziness of authoritarianism. Government official hangs up when asked about iodine purchases. There's that article by Paul Joseph Watson. Infographic on Infowars.com. How to handle a police encounter. Now Disney can track your every move with NSA-style wristbands. That's just some of the stories up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. And I'm sorry to the other callers. I'm out of time. I got to deal with some stuff with family after the show. Or I'd go into overdrive and take your calls. I'll be back Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. We're going to get a final word from Reverend Childress here in a moment. But, folks, here's the deal. I, in my gut, feel empathy when I know they're targeting black people to kill 52% of them. And then it makes me mad when they weaponize the black culture through MTV to make it anti-white, everything else, and to push the whole agenda. I mean, it's just like incredible. It's like you're trying to save people, you're trying to save yourself, and then they're taught to hate you. And then that makes white people think the blacks are all out to get them, and that creates the hate on the other side, which is divide and conquer. And just to watch these evil people, especially on MSNBC, knowingly punching buttons, following playbooks, makes me very, very angry. And I'm beyond anger because I want a civilization, I want a future. And let me tell you something, folks, if they can target black people with all these secret tests and aborting them, they can do it to anybody. And that's why I have empathy. Empathy is because in your gut, in your spirit, you know what's happening to somebody else is happening to you because you're connected to them. And it's going to end up happening to your family. And so we better all come together against the New World Order and realize Barack Obama is the more effective of evils. He's carrying the ball for the New World Order. It's not that the Republican leadership's good either. Notice how they're going after the Tea Party because it's got real people in it that know what's going on. That's why they say it's racist, because they don't want black people or anybody else to feel like they could have the American dream of a Bill of Rights, Constitution, due process. That's what this is about, folks. So I think the answer is white people need to go to the black neighborhoods, black people need to go to the white neighborhoods. Everybody needs to start coming together for the Bill of Rights and Constitution. People organize themselves in groups. We need to organize ourselves as Christians and people that love justice. Final comments, Reverend Childress.
You said it. That's right. And that's what's going to happen. I believe that we're going to come based on values, that we no longer judge anyone by the color of their skin, but by the content of character. And that's all we're going to have is the same values. The beauty of the Tea Party is that no one perceived it. It birthed out of disdain for laws that were infringing upon their rights and upon their wealth and prosperity. This has to continue to grow. And unquestionably, that I believe it'll always come from people who have a heart for the things of God. I think it's something that God is waiting for. He did say, if my people, which are called by my name. And so we have to recognize we're at that point. Please don't wait for 2015. We have to do this. There has to be a clear clarion cry this year, this time, this season.
Everyone in their spirit, yes. Everyone in their spirit has got to realize that there's dread in the air. And you're right. We take action, God will move. We've got to walk out on faith. Historically, we will get the providence to turn the tide. God bless you, sir. And people can visit your website, blackgenocide.org. It's invaluable. Thank you so much, Reverend.
Thank you for having me.
God bless you all, folks. See you back this Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Nightly News Tonight.